So if somebody was starting a business, before they get into it, what would be your piece of advice to them right off the top? Like, what would be the first thing that you would want to?
I would think they should understand all the components of a business. And even if that means that as simple as them writing a business plan that challenges all those components, I think that's the first step. So that way they can actually look at their idea, because usually people have ideas, they don't have a business. It's when you can turn the idea into dollars and put systems in place, you now have a business. A lot of people come to me with ideas, but they haven't thought things through enough to figure out how they're going to make money with it, with the resources they have. So until they do that, it's not a business. So A, they have the experience through doing an MBA, doing an entrepreneurship course, working for a firm, or B, they go find the experience by actually going through the process and doing a business plan and asking questions.
Right. So are there resources in this city for entrepreneurs that are watching? We're in Toronto, that you would that you know of, that you would recommend if somebody was starting a business? You'd say, you know what, you're not ready for me, but you know what, this is where I think you should check this out.
I one of my first businesses, I went to this Canadian Youth Business Foundation and did a business plan and applied for a loan, and they provided me with a mentor. That mentor was a good resource because our mentor was a senior vice president of Yellow Pages who understood business very well. Whether he's not an entrepreneur, you have to look at it as a fact he's running a business, and he understands how businesses run. And just having him test and challenge things are important. So I think that if it's not a resource like a Canadian Youth Business Foundation, it's finding a mentor who's running a successful business to guide you along the way, just to answer the questions you have and just to point you in the right direction in any way. I'm a strong believer that you can find whatever resource you want as long as you know what you're looking for. Right. Most people just don't know what to look for, so ask your mentor.
Okay, so your networking groups that you're a part of, is this something that, like, I think a lot of entrepreneurs join groups, but I don't think they ever benefit from them. Would that be your experience as well?
If I'm joining a group, I'm assuming a networking group, the group depends on who's in the network, and I think networking depends on whose relationships you have with them. So if they're not benefiting from it, they're not building the relationship with the right people.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is that I think that a lot of networking groups now, there are a lot of sellers, not a lot of buyers. And again, when we entrepreneurs that are looking to join certain groups, they shouldn't really be looking to sell. Maybe it sounds to me that they might want to be looking to find a mentor or find mentors. Who do you have mentors yourself?
I have a dozen mentors, and I don't need to even say that again.
Yeah.
But mentors is why I am where I am, because I was literally what I say, soar with the eagles. I soar with the people that's done it before, not the people that want to do it. I was the guy that wanted to do it, so I hung around with people that done it. So now I'm the guy who did it, and then the people that want to do it hang around with me.
Right.
So just identifying someone in the industry that's a leader, that understands, and you want to be where that person is, and just pick their brains and say, listen, can I sit down with you for an hour? Tell me how you got to where you got. Simple as that. When I was in not grade 12, when I was in my fourth year university, I literally sat down with the deans of MBAs, schools, the CEOs of companies, because I wanted to be a CEO of a corporate private company. And I said, listen, how did you get to where you got? And that just opened up doors, right? And I had a conversation with the president of Dell at the time, the dean at Rotman, the ex-CEO of Maple Leafs. And I was, again, 21 years old, rubbing heads with CEOs, but I just figured out, how do they think?
Yeah.
What books do you read? And they told me, read a book by Jim Collins, Good to Great. So I went and read the book. So now I'm studying how these big companies are actually successful and what the fundamentals are. Who would have told me to read Jim Collins? My friends wouldn't have. Yeah. So I think it's just important that in entrepreneurship and to be any leader, you need to network, and you got to overcome that shyness and literally go out there and meet people, connect with them, and just ask them, how'd you get to where you got? And people love to talk about themselves. So that's my biggest advice. Just when you start off, find somebody who's done it before. A book is good, but a person's even better.
Yeah, because I find a lot of entrepreneurs, and I can say that, I'll even admit that to myself, and sometimes it's your ego that gets in the way. Yeah. You're afraid to ask.
Yeah, but there's always a bigger dog.
Yeah.
and that's how I look at it, right? As big as you think you are, there's always somebody bigger.
True.
Right? And you can always just build on their shoulders. And then it's important that as you succeed, you give back to the others, right? And most successful people always give back because they know that someone else has helped them get to where they've gotten, and they want to help people get to where they want to go. So it's natural for successful people to want to give you their time, right? All you got to do is ask.
Yeah. Fair enough. That's great advice, because I know that a lot of people wouldn't think about that.
Yeah.
And people do innately want to help. Innately.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, successful people just get it. And
Yeah.
and I think I love the way your week is made up, where your Tuesday and Thursday are your networking days, and your really those are your self development. It sounds like, and your professional development, like the importance of that for your companies.
Yep.
And I don't think a lot of people would understand the value of that. They think you're out having lunches and partying.
Yeah.
No, really. I mean, that's how a lot of people
Yeah,
would. And I think that's maybe the idea of these meetings that it sounds like you're having, is that it doesn't sound like to me you're afraid to ask. And where a lot of people, especially entrepreneurs, I find, are afraid to ask.
Yep. I think the minute you get over the fact that you're not going to do it on your own and you can't build a business by yourself is the minute you realize that you need help. And you're not going to get help unless you ask, because everybody has their own agendas. Everyone's living their own lives. You got to figure out how you can help them and how they can help you. So I don't know any business that's successful with this one person. Even if I look at a Jay-Z or Beyonce, they have staff of probably 300 people behind them doing the day-to-day. They need to deal with people. They need help.
Yeah.
Right? And help is not a bad thing, right? Because you're actually helping them.
Well, and that's the thing, is the entrepreneurial mind is, you think that when you go into business is that you're breaking away from the norm. In some ways, you are breaking away from the norm. But I think entrepreneurs make that mistake of they absolutely, totally break away from the norm and wonder why, that they're alone, and when they fall, there's no one there to catch them. And it sounds, again, to me, really a network. I get, like, from what I'm getting from you, is hang out with people better than yourself.
Yes.
Don't be afraid to ask questions. Always know there's a bigger dog, and again, it's like entrepreneurs, I think, make the mistake of thinking that they need to stand alone, and really it's not about that.
Yep.
It's not about that. What? Give me a story about something where I don't know. Give me a funny story. So something that's happened in the past that you've never forgotten, and it could be good or bad. It's just something that in business that it could be a mistake that you've made. That for me, it was in high school. I was president of the high school, and we always sold chocolate bars the first campaign, almonds the last campaign. The Christmas campaign was always something different. And I have not lived this down, that I took the advice of one of our teachers, God rest his soul, he's passed on, to sell canned nuts. And I didn't think to take the time to understand the shrinkage costs of this. And where normally with chocolate bars and almonds, to lose a chocolate bar is very nominal, it's 80 cents. But to lose a can of nuts is like $4. Because the cost was like $3 something, it was $4 something like that at the time. You only sold them for $6. So it was like 2 steps back, 1 step forward. And anyway, the shrinkage killed us. It ended up being 2 of the 3 campaigns that year broke records for sales. We totally annihilated sales, and we were very proud. But the other one did too, but it was in the red. And it was one of those things that I went back to my class reunions, and I'm still getting teased about that. Now, is there anything in your life where you can think back and say, man, I don't know what I was thinking?
My first business, or my first job with delivering papers, I thought it was a good idea. So I was out Sunday morning delivering papers, all happy. I'm gonna get paid the next week, and something called accounts receivables I learned at a young age when I was going around knocking to get my money for the papers I delivered, and no one's answering the door. So at a young age, I realized that you got to have your terms proper, due on receipt. And no net 50 and no net 30, especially for consumers waiting for their papers. So that business, I lost a lot of money because I valued my time, and I couldn't collect the money back. So that's something in my head all the time. We apply today when we drop off a system at a restaurant. We want to make sure we get paid. It's not like we're coming knocking on the door after and the restaurant's closed.
Right, so you get paid in advance.
That's one of my funny stories.
Yeah. No.